Hi, I'm Justin Johnson with Wright Knives, and today I want to take a look at how to put that finishing touch on your already sharpened knife blade using your leather strop. Now, before we dive into this, I do want to take a look at both of the knife options I have with me today. I have here my personal favorite, the Wright GNS, and right beside of it, I've got a brand new Wright NextGen. Now, both of these, as you can tell, are exquisite knives. But I want to take a moment here and just take a look at the craftsmanship, the beautiful work. And I've used this knife quite a bit, so it's going to have some scuff marks on it. It may have some dents and dings here in the micarta. But this is a beautifully handcrafted knife. A2 steel on this guy. Beautiful mirror finish there that I've put on that using this leather strop. And this thing came blistering sharp, straight from Scooter at the factory. In fact, if you're not careful, these guys put a needle-like tip on these things. You've got to really watch that once you get yours. Again, this little A here designates A2 steel. Same thing goes for the NextGen. It's got a full flat grind on this one. The GNS has got a Scandi grind there, one of my favorites for splitting wood. It's going to be great for food prep in the camp kitchen, slicing, all of those things, skinning. It's got a nice broomstick style handle here, nice green micarta scales. I love how they've used full-size pins in the handle grips here compared to some other knife brands. But we got the Pout House logo here on the blade as well. Beautiful option. Again, if you own one of these, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Each knife comes in its own leather sheath from JRE Industries. This is the one particular I have here for my GNS. I have wet formed this already to kind of give it a custom feel, a custom fit to it. And it's going to have a nice little click once it slides all the way in. And it's going to make it a little bit harder to get it out so that it doesn't accidentally slide out. With a little pull, you can get it out pretty easy. Nice click, and that's not going anywhere. Comes with the dangler here, Chicago screw in case you want to take it off. Got a belt loop here, and then obviously your dangler. They also provided a very generous welt in here to keep the blade from cutting through the stitching. This one in particular does have a place to put a fire steel. Does have a couple of loops here on the bottom that you could tie off point here on your thigh. As for the NextGen, it does also ship in its own leather sheath from JRE Industries. However, it does not come with a dangler. I did pick this one up from JRE. This one has not been wet formed. I've left it as is. It still has a good solid grip inside, and from what I can tell, it's not coming out too easily. Now, both of these are extremely sharp, and let me show you here on a piece of paper. It's a standard piece of printer paper here. I've sharpened both of these already using that leather strop. As you can see there, there's a pretty clean cuts. I'd like to split some wood today using these knives so that we can see how to get that edge back exactly to where we have it using that leather strop. Now, I intentionally grabbed a couple pieces that have some knots in them. This one's got quite a few. As we can see here, quite a few different knots in that piece. Same thing goes for this one. We've got a few different knots in here as well. Just to make it a little bit tougher on the knives, I've got a wooden mallet here I'm going to use. And let's start with one of these rounds. Tell you what, since the length of the blade is almost too short for this, for batoning, I'm going to try to cut off a little bit closer to the edge on my side, kind of off center a little bit, to make it a little bit easier on me. And we're just going to shave around the outside first. You can tell I've already hit one of those knots. And if you ever get to a point where your knife is wanting to do this, and it's hard to keep that pressure against it, You can always correct it. I try to use a pair of gloves to put under the pommel part of the knife, and then just tap the top to straighten it back up. Always remember safety first. It's real simple for your hand to slip and hit that blade, and all it takes is an instant, and it's going to take weeks, if not months, for your hand to recuperate. Same thing applies here. I can tap that down. Takes a little more time, but it's worth it to keep you from getting hurt. And now we can continue. Got that first sliver off. All right, same thing, one side. If you listen closely, you can start to hear those tiny little cracks. That wood is telling you exactly what's going on. You just have to really listen for it. All right, and one more side. Now obviously we should have something squared off here since I cut the 4 sides there. And now I'm just going to cut some slivers out of this. Definitely on a knot somewhere in here. I can feel that one. That one's tough, guys. That poor edge. Man. Whoo, boy. All right, I felt it give on that one. All right. So far, this edge is still looking really good to me. I don't see anything rolled. Let's continue on. See if I can get this into 2 pieces here. Man, that's some hardwood. Whew. Man, that is tough. And you can see all the knots on this side here that I'm having to cut through. Just went through this guy here. I'm feeling these through here at the moment. Let's keep going. Man, that one will give you a workout. Now, obviously, you would want to use something like a hatchet or even an axe for something like this. But if this was the only item that you had, the only knife that you had, you can make it work. All right. All right. As you can see here, we had quite a bit to chew through there. All right, let's cut through another one. Already feeling it. Man, that's tough. Okay. And that's the thing, if this is the only tool that you had and you have to make it work, it will absolutely get the job done. Every single time. All right, we got one side off. Let's see, we got a good sized knot right here. Let's try to power through this guy. Whoo boy. Oh man. I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm giving that everything I got. All right. Man. All right. All right, we got one right here. You see what we just cut through here. Blade's looking good. I'm telling you, those guys over at LT Wright, they're doing something special in there. All right. There it is. All right, one more side to go. All right, that side wasn't as bad. Yeah, there wasn't anything on this end. All right, let's try to cut through. We're gonna cut through here. Got a knot there and a knot there. Let's try to cut down that center. obviously from here, if we wanted to skin this down even smaller, we could do that. Oh, right there in that knot. Look at that. Let's try to hammer through it. All right. Straight through it. Got a little piece of paper left over. Let's see if we can still get, I don't know. Yep. Wow. Now, leather stropping has been around for quite some time. It's nothing new, but there are some considerations and some things to think about before jumping in. Now, first thing to think about is the stropping compound. Chromium oxide is generally what's used on the leather. I've got here 3 different variants, black, green, and blue here. And they're kind of used in that sequence, black first, and then green, then the blue. So my stropping bat came from JRE Industries. You can order those directly from their website there. We've got a little pull tab there, a little bungee tab to cinch this down. And I do recommend picking up, this is extra, this little sheath cover here. You'll notice here that one side has already come preloaded with the black compound. If we flip it over, then we've got the green, then the blue. And here we just have plain untreated leather. And so we want to start with the black, do about 10 to 20 strokes, go from the green, 10 to 20 strokes, the blue, 10 to 20 strokes, and then finish up for kind of that mirror polish there on that leather. Since these are preloaded, I don't need to put any on here, but basically all you're going to do is just cut the tip of this off so that you can get down to the material, and then you're just going to line that and basically just draw it on there. Now, the Scandi is going to be the easiest to strop because of the grind. What I mean by that, if we look here and I place this knife flat against my strop, there's a gap between the apex and the leather. So if I rotate that blade down to where the apex touches the leather, I'm exactly where I need to be. Okay? Again, there's a gap, close the gap. There's a gap, close the gap. Just like that. Same thing for the other side when you strop in the other direction. Now on a whetstone, traditionally, you would pull the blade in against the stone. With a strop, you go in the opposite direction. You can imagine if I tried to go against it, it's going to dig in and cut into the leather. Now, once I've brought that apex to the leather, I can begin to pull, and as I'm pulling away, I want to begin to pull either up or down. I could start at the tip and pull all the way through to the bottom. Let me move these out of the way here. Generally, I like to start from here and pull down. It's just more natural to pull than it is to push. Now you want to let this compound do the work for you. If I put too much downward force into this leather as I'm pulling, what's going to happen is that leather is going to bunch up around the apex and kind of roll that edge a little bit. So you want to let the compound do the work for you. You're just going to gently pull it across. Again, about 10 to 12 strokes on this. Muscle memory also plays a big part of this. You may be a little bit intimidated at first, thinking it doesn't feel right. The more you practice this, the more you do it, the more second nature it's going to be, just like signing your signature on a piece of paper. And after a while, you're going to become a little more efficient with each and every pass. And you can work your way up a little faster. Okay. Now, once we've done that side, then we would want to switch around and do the opposite side. Again, rotate that blade to the apex, about 20 strokes. Now this stropping bat also makes it a little bit easier because my hand is obviously up a little bit higher. If I had just a small piece of leather out here, you would have to do this off the edge of something like this piece of wood. Would make it a little bit more difficult, but still doable. And after we've made those 20 or so passes, we're going to go ahead and flip over to the green side. I'm just going to stay with the same side here, and we'll make about 20 passes on this as well. All right, after we got those 15 to 20 in, I'm just going to rotate over to the blue side. I'm going to stay here. And lastly, we're going to flip over to that leather side there and just finish off that. All right, now I need to go ahead and finish up on that other side. We've already done the black, so we'll go back to the green here. All right, we're going to flip that over to the blue side and continue on. And then on the leather side here to finish up this edge. Take a quick peek, make sure it cuts good. On the money. When I get home, I'm going to clean this up a little bit more and probably put it on the strop a few more times. I do like to use the strop anytime I use a knife, even if it's just once or twice when I'm out in the woods. I still like to put it on the strop before I store it away. The blade grind on this is going to be a little bit different, full flat grind. So there's a particular trick that you can use with this to kind of find that angle that you want to use when stropping. With the Scandi, you can kind of remember, you can see that edge, that apex with the leather because there's a gap. This one's a little bit different because you don't have that large wedge shape going on there. So now a little trick you can use is place the blade on that leather, and I'll show you here at the top. As you see, I can move back and forth fairly freely, no issues whatsoever. And I can't really see a gap underneath that apex. So what I'm going to have to do is start to rotate that blade forward. And as I pull forward, I'm starting to notice it's starting to feel like it's grabbing into that leather. Right there is where it grabs. So I kind of know that's where the apex is hitting that leather. So this is where muscle memory is going to come into place. You're going to remember that that's kind of the angle that you're going to need to use going forward. Something to practice. Remember, the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. And so same thing applies. We'll press this down. It's starting to catch right there. So I'm going to back off just a hair. I'll tell you something else that makes this super simple to do is these cut out scallops here in the handle. Your thumb just kind of rides right in there perfectly. Again, we're going to want to do this about 10 to 20 times on each side, on each stropping compound, starting with the black, then the green, then the blue. Remember not to press down too hard into that leather. Again, you don't want to roll that apex. Just lightly pull across the top. Allow that stropping compound to do the work for you. Again, going through all three of the various colors of compound here. And then finish off with the leather. Pretty good. Now I need to do the other side. Again, finding where that apex hits, stopping just short before that. After a couple passes, you're going to remember it. Just do a little quick test there at the end. Oh yeah, still shaving sharp, not a problem. Now once I feel like I've gotten those edges pretty close back to razor sharp, I'll go ahead and again store that stropping bat for later inside this case to ensure it doesn't get damaged. Cinch it down, store it in your pack, or keep it somewhere safe for next time. I try to keep everything together with the extra compounds and whatnot. You can pick these up from JRE Industries as well. Now, I hope that was extremely helpful. If so, let me know down in the comments. Also, if you have any best practices when using a leather strop, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to join the knife community here by also hitting that like and subscribe button. I'm Justin Johnson, and I'll see you on the next one.